me a Makoto, please.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Danganronpa Big 3 Kill in Harmony. Last time, we continued on with the class trial, debunking Kokichi's possibility of killing Angie. And now we moved on to Tenko's case, to where now we're trying to figure out who killed Tenko. Now we're stuck on the subject of when Tenko was killed exactly. So yeah, let's begin.
The floorboard was removed at that point, so it's likely she was already dead then.
So she was killed when the room was dark?
But she was inside Cage, right? Going to think it impossible to kill her then.
But she wasn't killed when the room was dark. It was a different time.
A different time?
How the fuck should I know? You figure it out, shitheads! Huh? Since Gonta said it was impossible, I'm proposing an alternate theory. Now hurry up and think! If you want to make my golden brain tingle, start circle jerking your lipstick brains!
Okay. You're just the worst. You're just the absolute worst.
When Tenko got killed, it wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time, and she was dead when the cage was lifted.
What about moment Cage was lifted?
Like that.
When Cage lifted, culprit stabbed Tenko real fast. So fast, no one saw.
Oh my!
Oh no.
So who lifted the cage?
It was me.
Then obviously Himiko is the culprit!
There's no down!
Tenko not being killed in the seance? That might not be impossible, but there's no evidence for
When
it.
Tenko got killed, it wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time, and she was dead when the cage was lifted.
What about moment Cage was lifted?
Like that.
When Cage lifted, culprit stabbed Tenko real fast. So fast, no one saw.
Oh my!
So who lifted the cage?
Oops. I'm trying to skip through this part because there's no way.
When Tenko got killed, it wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time.
Basically.
She was dead when the cage was lifted.
What about moment Cage was lifted? That's wrong!
Tweaks on stage,
It wasn't possible to kill
and
her
he's
the moment
going against
Cage was
enhanced
lifted,
PV.
because the inside of the white cloth had Tenko's blood on it. That cloth was removed before the cage was lifted. If Tenko was stabbed then, there wouldn't be blood on the cloth.
What? But how could my golden brain be wrong when it felt so right?
The only possibility is that Tenko was killed during the seance.
I got your remodel right here!
Okay.
No, it's still wrong to think that Tenko was killed during the seance.
What?
I'm gonna prove it right now. My golden brain is gonna go all out!
Oh boy.
Tenko died after the seance. It happened when the sheet was lifted. That was the moment the culprit chose to stab the fuck out of Tenko through the cage. They stuck the thin blade through the gaps of the cage, and that clean white sheet got stabbed
But the weapon was a sickle. Only the blade could have fit through the gaps.
The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed. She wasn't that far from the cage's gap. In which case, the person who lifted the sheet is the culprit, and that's none other than Kyo!
Why is Kyo being brought into this? There has to be a hole in Miu's logic somewhere. All I have to do is show the evidence that will counter Miu's claims.
The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed. She
isn't sitting.
In which case, the person who lifted the sheet is the culprit, and that's none other than Kyo!
Yeah, hold on.
The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade
She's
through
in a
gap
turtle
cage,
position.
it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck.
I did it wrong. I didn't shoot it. I got 2 minutes left to do this.
The blade's all you need. If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her exposed.
I'll cut through your words.
I'll cut through your words.
Wait just a minute. Tenko wasn't sitting down inside the cage. She was bent over with her forehead against the marker stone. And the cage itself was about 3 feet tall. The sickle's blade was too short to reach Tenko while she was in
That position.
Then I messed up again? How could this happen? I'm so embarrassed.
No worries, Mew. Everyone already knows you're an embarrassment to the human race.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh my god.
How embarrassing!
If Shuichi is right, then it's impossible for Tenko to have been killed through the cage.
She couldn't have been killed during the seance since she was in the cage, right?
If she was killed then, the cloth over the cage would have been pierced.
Not during the seance or from below the floor. Then it's impossible, isn't it?
I'm not so sure. How was she killed? If there was a stab through her neck, and if there's no hole in the white sheet, but there's blood all over the cage, and she wasn't killed on the floor, then there's some contraption here.
Yeah, for a living person.
Huh?
What if Angie's spirit killed Tenko?
Oh, shut the fuck up.
What are you talking about? That's not possible.
You don't know that. Some things are impossible for a human, but not for a spirit.
Don't say stupid stuff like that. Screw spirits.
Stop that now. Angie's spirit killed Tenko? Why?
Himiko?
Why would Angie's spirit kill Tenko?
What if Tenko killed Angie, and then Angie's spirit came back for revenge?
Like I said, that's impossible. Spirits can't be culprits.
Then explain how the culprit killed Tenko under these impossible circumstances.
Since I know the case and how it ends, it, in my opinion, is one of the greatest things that you can use.
Well,
Which makes Danganronpa V3's Trial 3 a good case. Okay, it's a good trial. All right, good chapter.
See? You can't explain, can you? Only a spirit could have done.
wait, I know. What if the culprit was hiding inside the cage? If they were in there, they could have stabbed Tenko during the seance.
No. If there was someone else in the cage, we would have noticed.
I agree with Kaito. The culprit could have been inside the cage.
You do?
Nonsense. There was no space in the cage for the culprit to hide.
Maybe the culprit wouldn't need to hide in the first place.
What?
Also, the culprit could have killed her in the cage at any time. I think you know what I'm getting at, right?
The they that she's referring to. She's referring to Tenko. It's the only one.
I believe Maki is referring to Tenko herself.
What did you say?
Now, obviously, when Maki suggested this, I didn't believe it for shit. I didn't believe it for shit. It just did not seem possible.
She committed suicide.
Suicide?
If she committed suicide, it would explain a lot of things we couldn't figure out. She volunteered to be in the cage, and then stabbed herself during the seance. It wouldn't matter how dark the room was.
But the sickle she was stabbed with was under the floor, right? If Tenko had stabbed herself, wouldn't the sickle still be inside the cage?
Oh my god. Mew actually said something smart.
Perhaps that explains why the floorboard was removed. After stabbing herself with the sickle, she threw it underneath the floor.
That doesn't explain why the floorboard is just out and about.
So she took off the floorboard to get rid of the sickle?
Yeah? Sorry.
Yes, that makes sense to Gonta.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me.
Correct.
There's no reason for Tenko to commit suicide.
Bro, like... I get that it's a possibility, but how are you able to throw it through, even removing the floorboard within time? It just doesn't seem possible.
Maybe I wasn't too far off with the theory I had earlier. You know, about Tenko killing Angie.
Yeah?
Because Tenko and Angie were fighting for your attention, right? Tenko's pent-up frustration led her to commit such an atrocity. Her conscience couldn't handle it anymore, so she decided to end her own life.
What?
But if she was gonna kill herself, why do it during the seance?
She wanted to hide the truth of her suicide.
Really? Why?
There could only be one reason to hide it in the killing game, right? It's to take us down with her.
Take us down?
She wanted us to pick the wrong answer during the class trial, so she could bring us all down. She wanted us to die with her. Okay, well, she probably just wanted Himiko to die with her, but still.
But what are you saying? Tenko wasn't like that. She told me.
Keep your chin up and live life facing forward. Survive with me and everyone else.
What if all of that was just a lie?
A lie?
Wait, we should believe Tenko's last words.
The true terror of class trials is that you shouldn't believe everything said.
Himiko, you said that Tenko would never do anything like that. But how can you be so sure? Did you guys actually know each other? People keep all sorts of secrets. Like Maki. She hid the fact that she's a cold-blooded killer. Is it wise of us to trust other people wholeheartedly in this kind of situation?
Jeez, you're such a naive dude.
Naive?
We're all just people, you know? Of course we're gonna have some secrets. What matters is whether there's any malice behind them.
People can lie about how malicious their hidden secrets really are.
Well, duh. It's impossible to know for sure what others are thinking. That's why it all comes down to whether or not you believe in yourself. If you get betrayed, it's not their fault. It's your fault for believing in them. That's why I believed in Maki Roll, because I wanted to believe in her.
Just because you're acting all cool doesn't mean you get to skip training.
Hey, come on. Don't you think you're being a little too strict?
Well, we come from different backgrounds. So for now, let's agree to disagree. No one's ever called me naive before. And from Kaito? Seriously?
Whether or not I believe, my heart can't reach Tsuko anymore. But I want to believe in her. She wouldn't commit suicide. She wouldn't try to take us down. That's what I want to believe.
Me too. Gota no can believe Tenko commits suicide.
But if Tenko did commit suicide, that would answer all of our questions.
If you insist we believe in Tenko, then provide a reason to do so.
A proper reason.
All right, I'll give you a reason.
Is there a reason?
Yes, there is. Will you trust me, Maki? If it turns out I'm wrong, you can blame me all you like. But for now, I need you to trust in my detective work.
I don't believe Tenko would kill herself because of what she said. Okay, everyone, I'll see you guys after the seance. That's true. She said see you guys after. I doubt she had a sudden change of heart. Just because we don't know how she was killed doesn't mean that was suicide. We shouldn't be satisfied with that. If we keep thinking, we'll find the truth. That means we have to believe in Tenko. I'll make them all believe.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation.
Her plan was to take us down with her. So she hid her true intentions.
Tenko's not that kind of person. But if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance. She could have secretly brought the sickle
Didn't.
and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength, she threw the sickle underneath the floor. All the pieces fit.
I figured you had to lie here when it came to my thing originally.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation.
But I do know what
Her
it
plan
was.
was to
There
take
it
us
is.
down with her.
So the Mia one kind of makes sense, but there's nothing that can counter it. Or the Mia one doesn't make sense, but there's nothing that can counter it.
And then stabbed herself.
Finally, with the last of her strength,
I'll reveal the truth.
I'll reveal the truth.
Tenko couldn't have thrown the sickle under the floor because she died instantly.
instantly.
Her death might have not have been instant, but she couldn't have gone far before she bled out.
I'm certain of it. My investigation determined that she died instantly.
What's your opinion, Maki? I'd like to hear from someone who specializes in murder.
Maki.
You're right. I completely forgot about that important detail. Tenko died instantly.
What?
As an assassin, I specialize in killing my targets swiftly. I have no doubt that Tenko was killed immediately.
Words of a true killer. Pretty sure we can believe everything she said.
Plus, there's something about this particular way she died with the sickle being the murder weapon. Because it makes a lot more sense once it goes. But I figured she wouldn't kill herself. It just doesn't make sense in considering the amount of time. She seems like she would die really quickly because of that into the neck shot. Thank you, Maki.
How could you forget that, Maki Roll? You better apologize to Shuichi.
Excuse me?
It's okay, Kaito, really. No apology necessary. Anyway, Tenko died so suddenly that she couldn't have gotten rid of the sickle. Knowing that, the theory that she killed herself just doesn't fit, correct?
Just like I thought. Tenko wouldn't commit suicide.
Thank goodness, Himiko.
Ooh, Master MVD.
Which means during the seance.
Her suicide was considered because we could not determine how she was killed.
No, there must have been a way. We're gonna figure it out.
Did any of the participants witness anything peculiar during the seance? If you know something, please speak up. It could be the key to solving this mystery.
Not a bad idea. We should remember what happened in the seance. Let me try to remember. I'm sure there's something. I need some kind of clue that will help me solve this mystery.
Did anything seem out of the ordinary during the seance?
There is something that bothers me. The fact that the seance failed. The ritual was perfect, and yet it failed. How utterly strange.
Now that I think about it, while we were all singing the song, I heard something fall, I think.
I agree.
I agree! That was a quickie. Anything just seems very obvious doing that.
Himiko, you think that something fell because of that sound you heard, right?
Do-dee-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
It sounded like something heavy fell down and hit the floor really hard. What could have fallen down?
Fallen down? There wasn't anything on the ceiling that could have fallen down, right?
Kokichi could have fallen down. Get it? Because he fell down on the floor piece.
I thought something fell, but
The sound was pretty loud. It did seem like something hit the floorboards.
A loud sound, like something hitting the floorboards. Maybe that sound has something to do with the other thing that happened in the dark.
This is it!
This would make the most sense.
I think the floorboard coming off had something to do with that sound. That floorboard came loose at some point during the seance, right?
would the floorboard have made such a loud sound though?
It was the sound of an intense impact.
If the impact was that intense, then it could have loosened the floorboard.
That's true. There would have been a strong impact to make that sound. But what was it? What could it possibly be?
Alright then, let's go with that. We all gotta put our heads together now. So what made the floorboard come loose?
Judging from the sound, there must have been considerable force.
Someone who participated in the seance. Maybe that person tore off the floorboard.
That wouldn't make such a loud crashing sound.
Maybe the wooden statue fell over.
But that statue was still on top of the cage.
Culprit hid under floor, then stood up with such might.
But we already said there was no one under the floor.
Someone must have stomped through the floorboard.
A floorboard that comes loose when you step on it is dangerous. God, it's like I'm the only one here who's staying on the ball.
You hardly have any experience with balls to say that, Mew.
Don't be stupid. Don't you know me and balls are the best of friends?
There's a very hilarious line under that, but I don't know if I have to hit it with something
So what made the floorboard
specific.
come loose?
Judging from the sound, there must have been considerable force.
Someone who participated in the seance. Maybe that person tore off the floorboard.
That wouldn't make such a loud crashing sound.
Maybe the wooden statue fell over.
Oh,
But that statue was still on top of the cage.
that's the trueness.
Hide under floor. Then stood up with such might.
But we already said there was no one under the floor.
Someone must have stomped through the floor.
I agree.
I agree.
Kokichi is right. The floorboard came loose because someone stomped on it.
The floorboards fit perfect. Going to make sure first time we go to empty room.
When we first saw the room, yes. But when I looked again during the investigation, one of the cross pieces supporting the floorboards was cut off. After examining the cut, I concluded that it must have been done deliberately.
Someone? You mean the culprit, right? Why'd they do that?
What did the culprit stand to gain by cutting the crosspiece?
What did they stand to gain? That's the question. To solve this case, I need to think carefully about the crosspiece and floorboard. Tenko's body was at one end of the loose floorboard, and the crosspiece that had been cut was on the other end of the floorboard. The unsupported part was outside the cage, so it could have been stomped on. Only one of the crosspieces was cut. The other two were intact. One of them was right under Tenko, and the other was in the center of the center, right about where the edge of the cage was. What was the culprit attempting to achieve by stomping on this floorboard? Think! Come on! Think! See. Oh god. Oh god. Look for it more. Look. Don't you look. Damn you. Look. Look. Look more. Oh my god. It's so close. Look, damn you. The seesaw.
That's right. The floorboard might have been used as a seesaw.
A seesaw?
Seesaw.
The crosspiece at one end of the floorboard had been cut off. The other two cross pieces holding up that board were close to the cage. Meaning, if you were to apply force to the end of the floorboard with no crosspiece,
Damn, Game & Watch can't kill, but good shit to Meister for getting the first game on Snake.
the next crosspiece would act as a fulcrum to turn the floorboard into a lever. A lever capable of lifting up Tenko's entire body.
Seesaw.
Her whole body lifted up?
Yeah, that sounds like a seesaw, alright. But why bother lifting Tenko's body?
They couldn't have killed Tenko like that. Unless they used the sickle.
That's exactly it. Using the seesaw trick, it was possible to kill Tenko with a sickle.
How?
In order for the culprit to kill Tenko with a seesaw trick, the placement of the sickle is the most important factor.
The floorboard seesaw, the cage, and the blood on the white fabric. What conclusions can I draw from this? There's only one place the sickle could have been that is consistent with the evidence. Where was the sickle when Tenko was killed?
That's it! The sickle was at the top of the iron cage, with the blade facing down.
This music is so good. So much better than Danganronpa 1 and Danganronpa 2's trial music.
The reason we didn't see it was because of the fabric covering the cage. Also, the wooden statue kept the blade in place. It's true that the sickle's handle was thick, which made the statue wobble, but the statue's weight kept it from falling over. Once everything was in place, if you stepped hard enough on the seesaw, Tenko's body would have shot upward and hit the blade on the top of the cage. She was bent over, meaning the sickle's blade would have connected with her neck.
The 6-inch sickle blade wasn't long enough to stab Tenko in her crouched position. But with the floorboard acting as a seesaw, it could compensate for the blade's length.
You said blade's length a lot.
Sickle, rather than bringing the sickle to the victim. That's definitely an unorthodox idea.
It's crazy, but it would explain how Tenko got stabbed while she was in the cage.
So the sound we heard was the culprit stomping on the floorboard.
That impact make floorboard come loose.
Looks like we got ourselves a good old-fashioned seesaw homicide.
Homicide?
What the hell's a seesaw homicide? That's fucking crazy!
The craziness is what really makes the killing game fun, you know? They can't get away with murder the normal way, so they gotta think outside the box. Kudos, culprit! You did a great job keeping me entertained.
Indeed. Well played, Himiko.
What the fuck?
It was you, wasn't it? The one behind the seesaw homicide.
Why her?
Because she's the only one capable of carrying out.
It's because she chose the middle thing.
The only one?
Um,
Why's that?
Because this seesaw
Yeah.
homicide required its location to be prepared beforehand.
Alright, Master's 2 up on MVD.
By cutting the crosspiece beneath the floorboard, you mean? Then the culprit would need to lure their victim into the prepared room. That is why you chose that room for the seance. Is it not, Himiko?
However, there are 3 empty rooms. Which one shall we use? The middle room! The middle room's always best for stuff like this!
Oh yeah! Himiko was the one who chose the site for the seance!
She likely found out about my plans for the seance. You were quite vocal about the seance, Kyo. You even had instructions for it in your lab. Our culprit, Himiko, prepared her seesaw trap ahead of time.
This would be a really good anti-spoiler thumbnail.
Then she waited for me to host the seance and suggested the middle room. She led us all into holding the seance right where she wanted it.
Which is why we will continue on to the next episode to see what Himiko is hiding or if there's something wrong with this case. Find out next time on Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. Peace, peeps.